and welcome back. I am coming back after a little hiatus of me trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my channel. And I love vintage fashion, and I love crafts, and I love books, and I love like spooky season and cozy season. So I figured it would be a good time to come back with a craft video. And it is on how to make this beautiful spooky eye brooch. And it's a very large brooch. It's a bouquet of spooky eyes, which I thought was perfect for spooky season and to get us through the rest of October, as today is October 13th and Friday the 13th, which is super exciting. And I wanted to post a craft video. It is my first one trying to record myself doing the crafts. So bear with me in the direction of which I'm gonna go. I will be getting newer equipment, better equipment, but I wanted to get this out there and kind of break my own ice and try to put myself out there as like a crafter too. Well, I am a crafter, but I am so not good at recording things that I make. So because I'll start something and then I will just post a picture of my finished project. I have been enjoying making felt brooches this year, so I will post a little video of the ones that I've been making. And I just want to start sharing like the fact that I sew and start teaching little things like embroidery. And this is mostly like hot glued together, which is really cool, but I embroidered like little veins on the eyes. I also hand embroider like my initials onto my underwears and stuff. So I wanted to share those little things like handicrafts and stuff that deserve to live on, and they give personal touches to things. So today will be this spooky bouquet, and hopefully in the future I will share sewing tips. I sew on a vintage machine, and my daughter sews with me, so we're gonna do like a mother-daughter sew-a-thon type thing coming up. I don't know if it'll be by the end of this year or in next year, but that is coming. And I also have some knitting things I want to make. I see pictures and then I just make them. I make crafts and very rarely need a pattern. Most of the time sewing, I do use patterns, but like this, I make my own patterns, or I just sew it or create it, build it out of my mind. So that's another thing. Like I would like to record that, even if it's just for future references, that these are the things that I've done. So I hope that you're enjoying spooky season. I hope that this video will inspire you to make either a spooky brooch, or even if you just make one, like a little boutonniere for your partner and then a bouquet for you, that would be adorable. And if you do, make sure you post it and tag me, because I would love to see that. But here we go on to how I made this beautiful spooky brooch.
So here I am using a shot glass to trace out the eyeballs. I'm sure you could do this with a Cricut and it would probably be perfect, but I don't know how to use my Cricut like that. My boyfriend does. I just do this. I eyeball things, and then I can perfect the circles on my own usually. And because it's spooky season and just because it's kitschy, I don't really look for perfection when I'm making them. So I cut them out with my little scissors, and then once they're all out, I kind of go around and just round them out to my liking. But like I said, if you have a Cricut and you know how to make these shapes, then go ahead and use your Cricut. I just personally was inspired by the moment. This vision was in my head, and that's usually how I create. So with this, I am tracing the bottom of the shot glass again because I couldn't find like a small cap or something to make the shape of the eyeball, like the iris. So I cut the same shape, and then I'm just going around in circles to make that shape smaller, and then I'm going to kind of perfect it. See, there's your iris, and then I'm going to make the pupil with some scrap black that I have. And I kind of eyeballed this all together because it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot trace on black felt and make it stay. I end up perfecting the little pupils as much as I can, but they are tiny. So I use that shape of the iris and I go in with other colors and I cut out other eye colors. I'm going to have a total of 5 spooky little flowers, so I'm making 5 eyeballs. And it's pretty much the same process. Like I said, I think if I knew how to use my Cricut this way and make little circles, then I would. Maybe I'll do that for Christmas time and I will force myself to learn. But I mostly just do this stuff out of my head and I'm a very hands-on person. So when I'm creating with my hands, my mind is more happy. I don't know if that makes sense. Here I am making the shapes for each flower. I literally just go through my kitchen and come up with different shaped circles. So my daughter brought me this spice jar for the smaller shape, and I end up using like a coffee lid for the bigger shapes, which is funny to me because, again, I think if I had the knowledge of using my Cricut, then it would have gone faster and easier. But there's like this process, this creative process that my artist mind actually loves doing stuff like this. I feel a little bit like a kindergarten teacher. I apologize again for the video quality. I'm trying my hardest to record the crafts that I make because people are always so interested in what I make and how I make it. So I'm just throwing this together today to inspire you to get creative. Maybe you want to make what I'm making. Maybe you want to make something else. But the fact that I don't use all the fancy equipment might inspire you to see that you don't need anything. I'm using the back of a Notions packet right there to make my lines in order to draw out my petals because they're going to be like 4 petals each. I'm eyeballing it. I'm not measuring it. If you're a perfectionist, you can feel free to measure it, but I am not a perfectionist. I'm a fly by the seat of my pantsist. And so that is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to just go through every single petal or flower base that I made, making the same kind of lines just across both ways. Like I said, you don't have to be a perfectionist unless you want to be. Then you can do this however you want, however you feel so motivated. I'm actually just creating shapes out of my mind, kind of like inspired by the spooky flowers that you see in Target, like the hide and go eek, I think is what it's called. So I'm kind of thinking of that in my head. I'm not working off of any pictures. And I'm sure that if I looked up something, I could probably come up with like a 5-petal flower. Maybe I'll try that next time. But this, I'm just creating these little shapes because that's where I'm going to cut. And it's a roundabout shape. I don't even end up cutting exactly that shape. But you'll see like each layer I'm creating like a little bit different so that it looks like a flower. Flowers have layers and everything kind of wrinkles different and lays differently. So this is like the clover shape. It's going to be the center petal round. And I'm just going around. Like I said, I end up semi-perfecting these shapes, but mostly I'm just getting the base done. And then off camera, I kind of perfect the shapes. So you can see I'm using the lines to kind of just cut out the center of those. Like little coins, I guess you could say, is what I'm cutting out of it. Making a cross shape, I suppose. I made these at night, and coming up will be like close to my daughter's bedtime. I ended up dreaming about how to make these shapes even more spooky, which we'll see in a little bit. But I made like the bigger base and the smallest base the same type of shape. And then the middle is like a clover shape to differentiate and just make it a little cuter. And that's like what it's going to look like when it's all glued together. That's going to be like the construction of it. And then you pick the eyeball. Which are so cute. They are so cute. But I like little personal touches. So I'm going to embroider veins on my eyeballs. I am going to attempt to show you and explain how I'm doing this simple stitch. The first eyeball, I did 2 pieces of floss together. It's such a weird texture, this floss, because it's a shiny red. So you pull it through and you kind of go back to the same hole that you went through each stitch. And because veins aren't perfect, I'm not even worried about like lining it up or making it perfect. I just want to create an eerie look of veins, which is why I thought the shiny red would work good. But as you see, 2 of these flosses together, they're chunky and then they end up getting stuck easier. Again, you'll see that in a minute. Embroidering with nails is not my finest hour. So here is when I got stuck. One of the pieces of floss is literally like knotted against one of the pieces that is already sewn in. So I go with the flow and I just make it work. I sew down the little end and then I finish it by sticking it through a piece in the back and cutting it. But there's the little veins, which I think is kind of cute. But like I said, it's chunkier with 2 pieces of floss. So I end up going in with just 1 piece of floss. Threading that, I tie a knot at the end. And I feel like this makes it look more veiny, like the thin veins that you see in your eyeballs. So I go around easier with just 1 single floss, and I'm really trying to show you how I do it, but my camera angle didn't line up the way I wanted it to. So I'll post another video on how to do embroidery. Even if it's just simple and you want to do something like this, it's really not that hard and it's super fun to add personal touches to things. I embroider initials onto my underwear. I embroider almost all the little felt brooches that I've made, I've embroidered. In fact, I think all of them I embroidered. And they really give like a cute little multi-dimensional touch to the piece. So here I am. This is the morning after I kind of dreamt about these little flowers and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make them even spookier or spikier, and I cut these notches in to give it more of a shape. I seen it in my dreams. I decided to make it happen. I really like the way the clover shape came out with these discs cut out of it, and I was like, oh, I wish I would have made the 2 like the bigger piece and the smaller piece like that too. But when it all comes together, actually, I'm really happy with the shapes I created. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I find Halloween a perfect time to not be perfect, shall we say. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing does. And I feel like when you're constructing something like this, the quirkiness of it is what makes it cute. So my hand cut felt, to me, is very cute. Here is me hot gluing every little piece together. First, I do the eyeballs. I am not... How do you guys hot glue things without it sticking to you and creating the spider webs everywhere? Because I'm not very good at that. And plus I wear nails constantly. So I just get glued to it every single time. I love the way the eyeballs came out. I feel like they look perfectly cute and perfectly spooky. Now we're going to construct the flowers, each layer by layer, and kind of catty cornering each one, shall we say. And then I glue the eyeball on, and that is how you construct the flower. I think it's so cute. The way that they actually came out to me, so cute. The colors I chose was obviously for spooky Halloween colors, but I thought of the Haunted Mansion. I thought of Beetlejuice colors, like things that stick out during Halloween. Plus the colored eyes. I went with different colored eyes for each eyeball, which I thought was like kind of witchy. Like, oh, they're the eyeballs of all of my victims. My glue stick got stuck right there and I had to replace it. So this is like the base I made to put the bouquet on. I kind of like laid them out to see if I liked the shape and which way I wanted them to go. And then I start gluing them on. I want them closer together and to kind of have the petals close together so that it looks more 3D. Obviously, you could tell the bouquet piece is not perfectly cut. There's a reason for that. Because after I'm done assembling them, I go around and trim it so that that is not like the first thing you see. The focal point is the eyeballs and the flowers. And then that part is the part I'm trying to figure out how to make that look like a little bouquet. So I cut it and trimmed it. I folded it. And there's my little bouquet. Now I'm going to put on the pins. And I only put 2 because I want it to be able to bend with my chest, however which way it's going to go. I know my daughter told me to put like 3 or 4 on there. I find that tedious. So 2 is perfect. And that is the end of the construction of my spooky eye bouquet. These are a couple of other brooches that I made. A little witch's hat, a mommy pumpkin and baby pumpkins, a gorgeous little squirrel that I'm going to wear on Thanksgiving, and then just a jolly little pumpkin. I hope that this inspired you to make a bouquet like this or just start using your felt in ways that you didn't think about.
So I hope you really enjoyed that little instructional video on how to make your own felt brooch. You can do this with a bunch of different things. Like you've seen, I made a squirrel and some pumpkin brooches, and I think like cozy season, like the autumn season, really inspires me to create more and craft more because we have more time indoors. During the summer, I like to do hikes and I like to work out and do a lot of things like that. But during the fall and winter season, I am creating all the time. And I hope that this inspires you to create too. Please like, subscribe, and follow for more videos. I post about vintage fashion, crafting, and I'm going to start a little cozy book club too because I love to read. And I just want to create a community that loves to do crafty things and may not have the access to more people that do crafty things. I just want to create like a little bubble for us. So I hope that you enjoyed and that you'll come back. Thank you.